Since February 2018, the crack team consisting of an old hipster, a rookie, and Tyrod Taylor's biggest fan record from a secret location in the heart of Scotland. Their aim is to try and dissect all things NFL. If you want their opinion, and if you can find them, this is the American Football Cast. Welcome. This is episode 16, and we finally have an intro! After weeks of me kind of thinking about it. Whoa! Ric Flair, woo and everything. Yeah, after weeks of me...
Add that to
the intro. Oh, we could. That's all I like that idea. Yeah, after
From
weeks
an
of
undisclosed
thinking
location, woo!
Key is whether we've got rumbled with the woo. Someone will have found us. Yes, so that has finally been sorted after a long while. So hopefully you don't find it too cheesy. It's just a bit of bants, a bit of fun. It's all good. Anyway, on with the show this year. This year? It's our one
This is our last one.
We've now finally spent weeks getting an intro, and now I'm giving up. No.
Is this because you've nicked the intro and we're about to be shut down?
Officially licensed. It is on YouTube, therefore, as far as I'm concerned, public domain, is it not? Genuinely did actually spend days trying to find out what the licensing rights were, and it's just a bloody minefield. Absolutely no idea what you're meant to do, who you're meant to put permission into. So at the end of the day, I thought, well, if it's on YouTube, therefore, my opinion, public license, whatever. I'll just record a copy of that. Thanks very much. Yes, done.
I'm on board with the logic.
Anyway. So, as you can hear, I was going to introduce my co-host. First up is the rookie, or, well, not really the rookie now, because you've been a good wee while into the NFL. You're getting right in about it,
yeah,
and fantasy.
Yeah, I'm looking at my fantasy performance this year. I think I'll stick with the rookie tag. We are 3 weeks in. I am 0-3.
You're doing okay on the... What are we doing in the 20-team league?
We won our first game.
Yep. You're all over it. Is that all? We not won anything since?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Right, okay, right.
This week we played Jay Ajayi, who was out injured. So,
excellent.
Really on top of that one.
Well, you're juggling 4 fantasy teams, are you not?
3.
Challenge League as well? Three
plus
is the Challenge
the
League.
Challenge League.
Aye.
Plus a weekly pick'em league. So actually, there's like.
Oh
5
God, you're doing a pick'em as well. Gee, you lunatic.
Yeah, so I've decided I'd do the guys at NFL Scotland. Did a pick'em league.
Yes.
So I'm in that as well. Hi everyone. Thanks for listening again. I don't know why you do, but stick with it.
We are totally appreciative of you. It's great. Dr. Smith.
100%.
He officially knows more than me about the Arizona Cardinals now, so he's well on his way to no longer being the rookie. Who's up next? It is... Nobody! There's no third wheel this week. We are Gavless in Seattle. There is no Gav Bingo. No catchphrases.
Gavless in Perthshire.
Yeah, Kev will be happy. Got him and Gavin having some interesting bants this week with the old fantasy chat. Just staying clear of it. As you can probably tell, we're back to Skyping. We are not recording from the secret location, which is definitely not lunchtime work break, due to scheduling clashes and last minute meetings getting booked in and all sorts of chaos. So hopefully it doesn't sound a bit out of flow compared to the last few weeks. We try our best. I've almost forgotten how to do Skype calls.
Yeah, my computer hasn't been started up for a couple of months now, and I switched it on and there's a nice big mark across the screen.
I hope it doesn't do what the laptop did. What was it, the Hail Mary episode? God. Was it 13? Where halfway, 40 minutes into the recording at work and it shut down, and I had an absolute panic. the absolute podcaster's curse, thinking I'd lost the audio. Pure luck, got away with that one. So I hope your computer doesn't that. Oh God, didn't we just? I was so gutted because I thought, see if I didn't know if I could do it again. I would have probably just put out an apology tweet saying, there's no episode 13. It is deemed unlucky. Game over. Move on. Yes, so no Gav, I'm afraid. It's just us two. Well, you got the best two anyway, so it's all good.
Right, before we get into the roundup, let's talk about our NFL Challenge League, because we've not spoken about it for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So after week 1, and Andrew, other than me, and his homely heroes were top, and Andrew's still top. He's doing quite well. He's got a nice 70-point lead on the next up. In terms of our mini league between the three of us, well, I'm sitting in 12th and you're sitting in 14th.
Yep.
Some other guy's sitting in 9th ahead of us, but we'll not mention that.
I don't know who you're talking about.
On, yeah.
There's only 2 of us on the recording, therefore there's only 2 people that are relevant when it comes to the Challenge League. So
exactly.
That's good. So you're beating me, so well played.
I am, yep.
That's it. We'll see if we can change that. In the actual fantasy football, for some unknown reason, because my draft performance said I was likely to finish 11th out of the 12 team, I am sitting 3-0. I don't know if I've ever started 3-0, to be honest. Fingers crossed that continues. Kind of half winging it, really.
I went widey this year in the first 2 rounds, and well, let's just not do that again.
Well, you do have the top wide receiver, don't you?
I do. He was my
Thomas.
2nd round choice.
Yes, and I went run. I can't remember now. Anyway, what I did end up picking was I was quite widey heavy in the early rounds, and I got Mike Evans, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Adam Thielen. I don't think it was an order. I think it was Evans was 2, Thielen was 3, and Juju was 4. They are actually at the moment sitting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the yardage, so I've kind of got lucky so far. Long may it continue. I mean, if it continues, great. You know, I've got a bit of a small head start on everyone, but I just have this horrible feeling that I'm just in a lucky spell, and it's all going to go horribly wrong.
At least one of them's going to continue throughout, I think.
Yeah, but no, well played to Andrew, sitting at top, and comfortably at top after week 3. Not you, the other Andrew.
I know, yeah, well done him.
So,
right,
shall
we
talk
about some actual football now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shall we start with, will we roll back to last Thursday night?
Well, I think that's a good place to start for more reasons than just it was the first game of the week.
Well, shall go on and break that news. Everyone knows it anyway, let's be honest.
Jets 17, Cleveland Browns 21. Yes! Browns!
Woo!
So finally the Cleveland Browns win a game of football.
Oh,
fantastic.
Geez.
And it came about with their rookie quarterback coming off the bench and winning the game for them. Yeah,
now, so what do you go? 7 of 23 and 201 yards. And okay, he was filling in for Tyrod, who was banged up in the old noggin. A bit of a bone of contention in the chat about this week, actually, between quite a few of us about how bad was Tyrod before he got taken out of the game. You know, was he actually hit earlier? You know, was he really that bad? I don't know. It's a bit of a weird combination.
He's not been great. And I think the Browns were left with no option but to announce Baker Mayfield as their week 4 starter. Yeah. The way that went, he comes in and wins the game. I think you'd have a very unhappy fan base if they put Taylor back in this week. Yeah.
If he then doesn't win the next couple of games, is there then an argument to go back to Taylor? Or do you think Hugh Jackson's so stuck between a rock and a hard place, he's really got no option but to play Mayfield for the rest of the season, whatever the results are, they are as what they are?
I think you've got to stick with him. I mean, I think he looked alright. He'll probably lead them to 4 or 5 wins.
Yeah.
Which, this year for the Browns, if they come up with a 6-win season,
That's definitely
they're
progress.
Be quite happy.
I think so. Yeah.
Coming off the back of the last 2 years.
It's not quite the 8-8 that Gav hoped for when we were doing our divisional roundups, but it's not too far off.
It's not kicking the arse off it.
Yeah, and they're kind of the middle. They're just below middle in the power rankings this week, I think, which is the highest they've been in years.
I cried when I read the power rankings.
Oh, is that the last time we're going to mention that then, is it? I don't think so.
I think the Browns were ranked 20th or thereabouts.
It certainly wasn't in the bottom 4 or 5 where they have reigned for, well, actually the bottom 2, to be honest, where they've reigned for the last bloody 3 seasons. So but no, good win there for the Browns. What about the Jets? Was there week one just a bit of a fluke? Do we think now, in hindsight, or is this just what you're going to get when you put Darnold in as a rookie? You're just going to have a whole season, and he just learns on the ropes.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's got to be for them, isn't it? I don't think there's expectations for them to do a great deal this year. They've got, as we said, Darnold, a rookie quarterback. He's just got to take his time, learn, and be better for it next year.
Yeah. Were they away at the Raiders this Sunday? That's a winnable game.
It is. The Raiders haven't looked good, although Derek Carr has.
Yes. They've just been unlucky, and I think their defense has been gassed out. But yeah, we'll speak a bit more about them in a minute when we get down. But
yeah, last week, obviously, Carr had that ludicrous completion rate, didn't he?
82, no, 90, 93 or something. I can't remember what the numbers were. You told me. Yeah, and I cannot remember off the top of my head. It was just
29 for nonsense. 32 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Basically, probably one completed pass short of the record or something. It was lunacy, but good lunacy. Yeah, at least it's not like they're rolling into LA or anything. So they've got hope.
It could go either way.
Yeah. So good on the Browns. That's a wee bit of hope for them. Sitting 1-1-1, bang in the middle of the run-in. So long may it continue. We'll see what will happen. So into the Sunday games. You want to pick what's next on the list?
Top of my list, we've got Saints and Falcons.
Jeez,
So Saints 43, Falcons 37.
Right, so what was it?
That's how we like them.
oh yeah, what was last Sunday's the Chiefs and the Steelers? Was that 37-43 or something like that? We've been lucky in the fact that the 6 p.m. game over here the last 2 weeks has just been absolutely all offense and no defense. So it's just touchdown, ping all over the place. Falcons, the Matty Ryan gets 370 odd yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and loses. He must be raging. But
it was all three passing touchdowns and 2 rushing. Is that right?
No, that's not.
Was that the week before?
Probably the week before. Yeah, it was all passing touchdowns he got this week.
Was it?
Yeah. The certain quarterback on the other team got 3 passing touchdowns and 2 running ones, though.
No, did Matt Ryan not run 2 in himself?
I genuinely can't remember. It's on Wednesday now.
I know.
No, Drew Brees had 2 against the Falcons.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, right.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah, no.
It's been a long 3 days at the start of this week.
Pulled a hell of a win out of bag, so they did. Because to me, it looked like it was all Falcons in that game. The emergence of Calvin Ridley was something. 7 receptions, 146 yards, 3 touchdowns. It looked like, to begin with, the Saints were obviously doubling Julio, which makes sense. But that left Ridley 1-on-1, and he was just having an absolute field day against, is it PJ Humphreys, I think is his name?
Could be.
Cornerback at the Saints, who is probably going to get benched the rate he's going at. Because Ridley was just making a mockery of him. So if they've got Ridley, down one side, and then you've got Julio on the other side, and you've got Sanu through the middle as a slot receiver, that's a hell of a 1-2-3. You're going to struggle to defend against that.
It's there's not many receiver lineups better than that in the league, are there?
No.
Maybe Pittsburgh?
Yeah, possibly Pittsburgh. Minnesota definitely matches them 1-2. Not sure who's third on the list. Treadwell's not quite materialised, but if Treadwell gets his shit together, they've got a 1-2-3. Bizarrely, the Bucks, I think they're kind of in the mix. So there's actually quite a few teams that have a really deep wide receiver core. Maybe more so to that standard than I've seen in a good few years. Just a lot of people are coming good at the right time, and that could be part of the reason why. What was the stat I seen today? Something like, it was a tweet. It was from Bucky Brooks, and he put it's the best completion percentage in quarterbacks since 1970 through the first 3 weeks of the season. And you know, that's, I mean, yeah, okay, that you've got to have good quarterback play for that, but it's just as important that the wide receivers actually catch the ball.
Yeah.
Which seems to be happening just about everywhere, except maybe Buffalo. You know. Calvin Benjamin and his 86 drops a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, sneaky win for the Saints. They are sitting bizarrely 2-1, but it's been a hard fought 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, they should have lost against the Browns.
Yeah, got away with that one. Yeah, and they've kind of got away with this week as well. But you take any win how you can, eh? You know what I mean? If they get their defense kind of a bit more in order.
Yeah, if you can grind out the wins in the early season and get yourself really powering through down the back straight.
And who's coming back?
Good place, exactly. Well, Mark Ingram, he's got one more game to serve, and then you've got that frightening offense with Kamara, Ingram, and Michael Thomas.
Another wee nugget that was pretty obvious from anyone who watched it. Drew Brees is now the all-time leader in completions in NFL history. And am I right in thinking he will overtake Peyton Manning in all-time passing yards in the next couple of weeks as well? I think, or unless it's Favre for number 2. I can't quite remember off the top of my head but it's in the next couple of weeks he's going to then take yet another milestone record, which is, I mean, he's just played consistently well for so many years. A lot of people kind of thought that last year was a bit of an off year for him, but I think that was just because the two-headed punch of Kamara and Ingram was doing so well. They were absolutely right to go. Bingo, yeah. I mean, he still got 4,000 yards and probably 30 odd touchdowns and whatever, but this is from Drew Brees, who had something like 5 seasons in a row of over 5,000 passing yards, which is just daft numbers that have never been seen before. So fair play on him, and I don't think he's going away anytime soon. I think he's still got another couple of seasons under his belt by the looks of it, so, you know.
Was it a two-year contract he signed in the off-season? Yes,
yeah.
So he's got this year and next year.
Yeah. And then it'll just be, if there's any regression, then he goes, then okay, yeah, he can politely bow out, but if he's like Brady, you know, he could get another couple of years yet again.
Could, yeah.
Absolutely. Next on your docket, have you got 49ers Chiefs?
I do have 49ers Chiefs.
Right. Go, you take the lead on this one then.
Right, okay, so we've got a tale of two quarterbacks here, I suppose.
Haven't we just?
Start with the good will we start with the good or the bad? We'll go with the bad, and
yes.
I try and not smirk as I say poor 49ers.
Oh, you tell he's a Cards fan.
So they've lost their quarterback for the season.
Yeah, heartbreaker. Of all the injuries that you can get of any player, the quarterback is easily the one that, me as a neutral, I notice most. You know, like last season when Rodgers went down when he was busted collarbone, I was like, oh, God damn it. Watson went out when his knee blew out. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, just... it's probably part of the reason why they end up being the highest paid players on the roster. It just kind of hurts a little bit more if it's the quarterback than any other position. So yeah, that's a bit rubbish for them.
So yeah, Jimmy G torn his ACL, out for the season. Poor guy. I'm sure he'll go and cry in his 137 mil.
Yeah, yeah. Go and date some more porn stars. His ex-girlfriend was flashing up "That's Karma's a bitch" type tweets.
Yeah,
at the time he was getting his knee busted. So I was like, ooh.
And then she put a screenshot of a text message from her daughter, from her mum.
Yeah.
And I mean, go look it up and just look at the spelling of daughter.
Yeah, that just tells you all you need to know.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, so he obviously had dated that adult star, probably while still dating this other girl, reading between the lines, or had very
possibly.
quickly jettisoned her in order to take this porn star out. So, yeah, but never mind. Well, poor Jimmy, not literally poor Jimmy G, but yeah, it sucks for the 49ers as an organisation, because you had the feeling that things were slowly going in the right direction, particularly with the tail end of last season, and albeit the record was 1-2 now, they were kind of on the right tracks. You thought there was more hope for them, and arguably I would have said if they aren't now, but before Jimmy G busting his knee, probably would have been in the mix by the thick end of the season. They might only been one game behind, but they would have been pushing for a wild card through a good chunk of December anyway.
So they've now lost. They lost obviously Jarrett McKinnon.
Yep.
Before the season, was it before the season started?
During pre-season,
During pre-season,
or
lost
very
Jimmy
early.
G.
Yep.
And Richard Sherman's out for the next few weeks as well.
Yep. Probably their top three marquee, certainly in terms of signings, the top three marquee signings that they've added to the squad over the last year. They still have a pretty stout defense. With that front three of Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner, and I've forgotten the other Arik Armstead, that's it, are still pretty formidable. They're not going away anytime soon. Matt Breida seems to be doing okay, which is quite good. In running back, so like they've kind of
10 carries for 90 yards in this game.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good game last week as well. Not that I remember the numbers off the top of my head, but he did okay.
He got a touchdown or two.
Yeah, and I want to say about 100 yards, 120 yards touchdown or something. Yeah, something pretty decent. So it's not a complete write off, but it's they're going to be middle of the pack by the end of the season now.
Yeah, so the other side, a team who we're going to be talking about all season, mainly due to their quarterback.
Oh, yes.
So, Patrick Mahomes.
Jesus Christ. Wow. Have they found a gem or what? Gav would be jumping in at this moment, banging on about how the reason that Rodgers is the best quarterback and why he fanboys him so much is because he sat and learned for a while. He didn't get chucked in at the thick end and whatnot. And I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit later with quarterbacks, particularly of this year's class. But I think having Mahomes just sit last year and learn some of the nuances and take his time, and he was firmly installed, from basically week 17 last year. They gave him the reins, and we'd probably told him at that point, you're definitely a starter next year. Smith's going to be going. Don't worry about it. And by crisis, he'd repaid them something chronic. He's now, so he'd beat the record in week 2 of most touchdowns through 2 weeks. He has now the record in 3 weeks as well, I think, after this week's performance.
So he had another 3, so was that him up to, 14? Was he 10 or 11 through the first 2?
I think he was 10. Just to 10, yeah.
He was 4
I say just to 10.
just to 10, yeah. So he's up to 13
He's up to 13, yeah. So I think he's got the record for through 3 weeks now. But it's that second one. We've chatted about this at work, haven't we? The one where he scrambled about 30 yards in the dark.
I mean, he just... ridiculous. Yeah, so that scramble play, the way he just, he looked like he was going to get sacked, he got out of it, he kept himself moving, and then bang, bullet, back corner of the end zone, touchdown.
It's the speed on that ball was brutal.
I could watch him throw the ball all day.
I know.
We
talked about it last week, that touchdown, the second one that he passed to Kelsey, and nearly took Kelsey out, and Kelsey is a tank. And he struggled to hold on to the ball with the velocity it was getting flung at. Jesus Christ, it's just... he's going to be fun to watch all week. The thing that really
impresses me is just how flat that ball stays. So a lot of quarterbacks, you see them throw it and it sort of loops up in the air and comes back down.
Natural arc and gravity, yep.
Yeah, because they've not just got that strength, but he just launches it and it's in a pretty much straight line.
He doesn't
it's like
need,
a bullet.
because he's so strong.
Wow.
He doesn't need to worry about gravitational forces pulling it the wrong direction. He can just aim straight for the numbers and it's gone there. It doesn't matter if he's 30 yards a year, it's kaboom, and it's there in about 3 seconds. I'm really intrigued to see when it gets to the end of the season how many interceptions he ends up with. Because I almost have this feeling, and it might be a little bit bold to say now, and it's not that I'm going to say he's not going to get any interceptions, but I think the ferocity he throws the ball at makes it so much more difficult for cornerbacks to try and jump the route.
Yep, I agree.
So I'm really intrigued to see how many interceptions he ends up with at year end. I think he's going to get some, let's be honest. No one can really go that perfect in a season. And if you get right to the details, if it's 1 or 2 late ball heaves down the field or whatever, you can discount them, because that doesn't really count. In my mind, that's not really an interception per se. But how many actual proper interceptions have defenses managed to either bat balls off the front of the line or jump routes and steal them away? I don't know if there's going to be many, because their wide receiver core is solid. Well, probably beyond solid, let's be honest. Kelsey... You've got Kelsey there as well. You've got Tyreek Hill you can do anything you want with. Sammy Watkins seems to have had a bit of a mini rebirth.
Well, when you're getting them thrown at you, you can understand it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. On the flip side of their team, though, their defence...
Yeah.
Well, they were... now, I don't know, because I didn't see the game. I don't know if they took their foot off the ball by half-time, because they were already 35-10 up. And Jimmy G was out. Well, it was the end of the game, wasn't it? He busted. It wasn't half time. It was the end of the game, wasn't it? I think it was the end of the game, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But they were 35-10 up at that point. I almost have this feeling that they just kind of not eased off a bit, but they definitely would have changed their game plan. They go, right, we're going for running down the clock. We'll have more runs rather than passes. But the 49ers kind of fought back into it, and the fact that the end result was 38-27. From 35-10 at half time. I mean, it was all 49ers in the second half. They only got a wee field goal near the end of the game. Their defense isn't that great. They're kind of struggling. They're doing the old Denver, was it Denver 2015 or 2016, where it was like, do you know what, doesn't matter how many points you score, we're going to score more. It's the old Brazil in the football, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a concern for them, though.
Yes.
As we get down to the back end, I mean, the saying is that defenses win championships, isn't it?
I totally.
And as good as Mahomes is, he'll have a bad game at some point at the back end of the season.
Yeah.
And when you're up against a Jacksonville, for example, as they would be in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see them going all the way. I mean, they look brilliant. They'll have a deep playoff run.
Yes.
Well, they should. But, I mean, the Chiefs love a make it to the playoffs in our first game, don't they?
Not as much as the Bengals, but they're pretty close. Is there only 2 teams that are undefeated now? Them and the Rams? I'm doubting myself. No, Dolphins
you
as well.
You should doubt yourself, because we're going to move on to
segue.
Another one of the undefeated
I did that on
teams.
purpose, yes.
And, yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget this, because who the hell saw this coming?
The Dolphins 3-0.
The Dolphins are 3-0.
Nah, not buying it. It's fake news. It's lying to me. Not believing what ESPN's telling me. No, they are, and deservedly so for all accounts.
I mean, is this Adam Gase just passing round whatever to make us all think that they're 3-0?
Well, no. So it's probably very much the Tannehill effect. We did talk about it pretty extensively in the AFC East divisional roundup, because as much as we all had what would have been really obvious at the time, the Patriots are going to win it all, and really there's not much challenge from anyone else. The question we all posed at that point, and quite rightly, was what version of Tannehill's coming back? Is he...
Yep.
Because he was... Streaky is probably the nicest way of putting it. He was pretty hit and miss in his seasons before he busted his knee. However, by all accounts, he's playing very sensible. Not numbers thrown off the charts, but not one of these middle of the road game managing type quarterbacks, so he's posting decent numbers without being spectacular. The run game's complementing, defense is holding up okay, special teams kind of chipping in as well. Kind of a very good all-round performance so far from the Dolphins, and find themselves 3-0.
Will it continue this week? They play
who are they are?
New England this week.
Oh yeah, no, I threw that tweet out today on purpose because I'm intrigued. I'm thinking, again, it's just thinking about it in time. There's going to be a point where the Patriots' dominance is going to finish. Are we not aware of it at this moment? But it's actually already started. But if they can't win on Sunday, they're falling to 1-3, and the Dolphins are 4-0. And I know it takes years; it's not just this season. But if they can't get their act back together this year, and maybe Brady comes back for one more try next year, and they struggle next year, then what we haven't realised at this moment is we watching the beginning and the end.
Yeah, and I mean it's inevitable, isn't it?
Oh, aye, time catches up with everybody.
Yeah,
yes,
it does. And yeah, I mean, in 3 years' time, we're not going to be here talking about New England being the dominant force, I wouldn't think.
Nope, it'll be that young Patrick Mahomes, I think.
Yes, it will. Yeah, you're right. Or that if the Rams stick together for a few years, it might be them as well. There's plenty
of teams in the mix, which is good. It's not just a one team ride at the moment. So so Dolphins win again, quite nicely at the end. Again, it was as much though the Raiders kind of falling away at the end. There is a little bit of that as well because they got off to another flyer. Jordy Nelson, 173 yards and a touchdown. He already had 100. Sorry.
Touchdown was what, 60 odd yards or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the first couple of plays.
Downfield.
Yeah. And he got another decent. Oh, sorry. I know he got another decent reception anyway. So, but I want to say about another 30 or 40
173 yards from 6 receptions.
Yeah, it's an average of nearly 30. It's ludicrous, but brilliant all the same. It kind of goes back to what you were saying with Derek Carr, though, performing really well. I mean, his numbers last week were 27 of 39 for 345 yards. That's not rubbish at all. Every team will happily take that on a Sunday because that's easily going to put you in a chance to win. Marshawn Lynch seems to be, he's not quite back to beast mode level, but he is very, very serviceable, and any rust that he carried last season seems to be well and truly off him. He seems to be enjoying his football, which is half the battle with him. If he's very much in a good frame of mind, he's going to pitch up and he's going to give you a decent effort. So he took 19 carries in this game, only for 64 yards, so not a huge. I suppose. I'm trying to think if he's had any actual dominant runs per se. You know, he didn't on Sunday. I think he had one or two decent ones last week, if I remember rightly. But not so much this week. But he's more than capable as being the running back, and he's helping bring that balance to the game that you always want. And if you don't have, your team goes very one-sided because you don't have a running game, it's then really easy for a defensive coordinator to scheme against it.
Yep.
Whereas you can't quite do that with the Raiders because they can beat you both ways. They do feel like it's 3 very close games that they've lost. It's been in the last quarter.
Yeah, they came into this game. Yeah, they came into the fourth quarter 17-14 up in this game. So it was tight. They lost by 8 points, but they were there all the way.
Yeah. If only they had a pass rusher, eh? Is that what Gruden came out and said?
Yeah, we discussed that last week, didn't we? If only. Dear God.
Alright, on to the next one then. And without a doubt, the result of the weekend, just in sheer what the fuck? That is the Bills at the Vikings.
I had the Vikings to win this by like 17 points on at the bookies.
So, Vikings to win by plus 17. And when you said that to me, I was like, that's, it's that much of a head start. All right, yeah, well, you're going to get it easy, so yeah, as a gimme. And I think I called it on last week's. I was going through the results because Kev called me out of it. Not doing so well this week, are you, Steve? With your every result's easily in the bag. But yeah, no, I absolutely had this one tagged as Vikings all the way. Based on how they played the first 2 weeks, they were really dominant against the 49ers in week 1. Got away with a tie. Well, I say got away with a tie. They were a kicker short of beating Packers in week 2, and then they got absolutely destroyed in the first half by the Bills. Cousins had a bit of a meltdown. What did you get? 2 fumbles, and the Bills had, scored off both of them, and they were 27-0 up.
And Josh Allen had a screamer. Did you see his hurdle?
I did. I imagine most of the Bills Mafia at that point were like, "Yeah, oh, what are you doing?" That one of those.
You're like, a quarterback. You're not meant to be hurdling folk.
Slide. They can't touch you. What are you doing? Meltdown. It was something else because Anthony Barr's 6'6".
It was a tall guy that he jumped over
pretty comfortably over him. It wasn't, it wasn't just like I just skipped over your shoulder here. It was like I've cleaned your head. It's all good here.
It was unreal.
It was something, yeah. So, did you see the meme of Vince McMahon there's that strut. Coming down the walkway, Vontae Davis walking back into the Bills facility.
Yeah. See, the Bills are pursuing him for his signing bonus. They want it back.
Oh well, yeah, not surprised. If you're gonna retire on a team a game and a half into a season, I can quite see that. And do you know what? Fair, he's got enough money that it shouldn't matter anyway. He should just politely hand that back and go, yeah, okay, don't worry about it. I'm not. I'll keep my game check for my game and a half, and that's it. Yeah. I'm out. Even the Vikings numbers here. Adam Thielen got 105 yards, but that was all in garbage time, and it was all when they were miles behind. And there really wasn't a lot of good to take out of the game for the Vikings. So wait and see what happens next week. Who are they playing again this week? Have you got the schedule right in front of you?
No, I do not. But
that's right. I've got it here. I can just flick the screen and a quick Scooby through. Oh no! I do remember.
Thursday night.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's going to be some game. Yeah, so on paper, 2 weeks ago, last week, sorry, so disregarding week 3, this was undoubtedly a massive highlight.
Oh, we were looking at this as game of the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You would expect the Rams against the Vikings.
It could still go that way, but
it could.
If the Vikings need to get back to how they were playing in weeks 1 and 2, they can't do anything like what happened last week. Otherwise, the Rams are just going to make a mockery of them, even if they are sans Talib
really
and
hope,
Peters.
So I saw that Talib is on the injured reserve list now, isn't he?
I don't know if they put him in IR. He has had surgery, and there is the ankle surgery, and there was talk that he was going to be out for a couple of weeks anyway.
Tweet half an hour ago, the Rams have placed cornerback Aqib Talib on the injured reserve. Talib is scheduled to undergo surgery on his ankle. Yeah.
Oh well, that's fine. That's him out for 8 weeks then, so that's not
Yep.
Because there's now 2 positions on an IR boomerang, as they call it. So people that are on IR that can come back. So I find a lot of teams are now happier putting people on IR than they would be in previous seasons. So a couple of years ago, they didn't have it at all. It was like when you were on IR, that's it. There was nobody getting back. Now, up until before this season, they had one position you could bring back, but it couldn't be for at least 8 weeks after they'd gone on it. They've now lessened that up to 2 people now, which just gives teams a lot more flexibility. So they seem to be a lot happier at just flicking the roster around and going, right, you're not doing anything for at least 6 weeks anyway. Just go on IR. If your rehab goes fine, because we can bring 2 people back. It has to take a bad run of teams like the 49ers we talked about earlier for them to have so many people hit IR that even if any of them are healthy, they can't bring enough of them back.
Hopefully, for the sake of the spectacle, that was just a blip for the Vikings, and
Yes,
we see them
true.
competitive again over the rest of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. Next result, we've got Eagles 20, Colts 16.
Yeah.
So I didn't see a huge amount about this game. Wentz was back, not horrendous, 25 for 37, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, played fairly sensibly within himself, but he doesn't have many of his weapons at the minute. They're still very much in kind of second tier on a lot of their offensive weapons, so to speak. So that will probably come good. Your pal, the tight end, got his first touchdown.
Yeah, Dallas Goddard.
Yeah, there we go. It was so funny seeing or hearing Neil Reynolds pronounce it, but without the Dutch accent. I was a bit disappointed. I think we need to get word to him that he needs to say that in a faux Dutch accent from now on. And Kyle Van Der Esch from Dallas as well.
Van Der Esch.
Yeah, Van Der Esch, that's it, yeah. Who now, the two of these people I cannot really say without doing it in a stupid Dutch accent. So yeah, Eagles got another one. They're 2-1 in the season. Colts got unlucky, lost 1-2. I know we say it a few times, but for those of you that don't follow it on Twitter, get on that Captain Andrew Luck Twitter page. It's just, it's absolute wonderful. Gold he's dropping week on week now. Dearest mother, we have ventured to the fields of Philadelphia. Captain Wentz has returned to take arm once more. Just on it goes. Brilliant.
On the point of luck, so they had a Hail Mary at the end, the Colts, and they brought Jacoby Brissett into the game to throw the Hail Mary pass.
Very
because
interesting.
They don't think Luck's shoulder is strong enough to make it there. In the end, Brissett actually overthrew it, so he had too much in his arm.
But yeah, still very interesting. Yeah,
interesting that they still have those concerns.
Yeah, because so no one really knows the full story of why he was off. We knew it was a shoulder problem. It wasn't like when Peyton Manning was injured and it was his neck and he ended up having something like 4 neck surgeries. Everyone was fully aware of why he was off and how bad it was, and the fact that he went off to Europe to get treatment that wasn't going to be available in the US and kind of weird stuff like that. But no one's really flat out said, okay, he's definitely got this problem with this bit of his shoulder and this is how bad it is. They've kind of just sort of brushed it off almost. It's, yeah, he'll be alright, don't worry about it, he'll be right. But that call kind of tells you the opposite at the moment. Yeah. Now, arguably they're saying that they need to rehab him back up to that level so he can throw a 50-yard bomb. You got T.Y. Hilton on your team, you're going to want to throw it because he's going to be able to fly under it. So, yeah, very interesting. Yep. Well pointed out, Dr. Smith. Right, on to the next one. So, what, second surprise result of the week?
Did we talk about this?
Redskins Packers.
Yeah, I mean, he's not here. Do we have to talk about the Redskins?
Oh, yeah, right, moving on. No, yeah.
A bit of an upset, actually, I think. Redskins
very much so.
Packers,
yeah, very much so. So, lots of bones of contention in this game. So, the obvious thing is, of course, Redskins won, and pretty decently, 14 points up on the Packers, which is interesting. Adrian Peterson seemed almost reborn. He had something like 90 yards and 2 touchdowns by half time.
Almost like someone at some point predicted him to be like the comeback player of the year this year.
Which
who would have done that?
Which I absolutely, I think I lolled something major when you threw that one out, and to the point I was like, what are you on about, you absolute lunatic? And sitting here, he is well in the running. That I can't actually quite think who else has had as much of an impact coming back as him at the moment. There will be other players that will rise to the fore, and you've always got one or two quarterbacks. So, like we talked about Tannehill earlier on, he could be in the mix because it tends to be quarterbacks more than anything. No denying what Peterson did, but it would have been if Deshaun Watson came back and had 75% of what he did last year, he was walking home with this, no questions asked. But he hasn't, which has thankfully left the door open for everybody else.
So my prediction was that Peterson will get 11 touchdowns this year. After week 3, he has 3.
So you're well on track. On track. He's over 100 for his career now, which is just a borderline daft number, particularly more so nowadays where the run game isn't anywhere near as the level that it used to be 20 years ago. So brilliant career, still doing all right. Totally helps balance offense out all day. Yeah. So other bone of contention in this game is Clay Matthews, and he's rushing the passer. Well, rushing / roughing the passer. Yeah, roughing the passer.
Yeah.
Oh dear God, this is getting
The roughing the passer rule this year is what the catch rule was last year. I'm not sure if I said that last week or not, but
if you didn't, you definitely said it to me at work, and you're right. You're absolutely right.
This is where all the chat is. Harsh.
Very, because there's not. I get the lift and pile drive element of it. So which was partly brought in because of the Anthony Barr tackle on Rodgers last year. Was that not where a lot of this has come from? I don't think he did it on purpose. I'm not going out to say Barr deliberately went to break his shoulder, but it was that type of pick up and drop type tackle was what was meant to be ruled out. Because they changed the rules to landing with body weight, this is where it's getting a little bit tricky. And the fact that the refs they're calling it more. They've definitely come out and said we're probably aware we're being a bit more flag happy than maybe people want, but until we've kind of got ultimate clarity on what is and isn't, that they're happy with what they're calling at the moment. Clay Matthews definitely is not happy with what is being called at the moment, because he's been called 3 times in 3 weeks. Yeah. So it's almost like he's got a target. He got fined by the NFL this week for that as well, which is then another problem, because I get having a penalty against your team, and I get then the second problem being that penalty then costs your team something, whether it's position in the game, the result goes the other way. If it's particularly, I think at that time, that penalty, it was, it wouldn't have made the score not as big between the two teams come the end. But I don't think he should be getting fined for it, because it wasn't harsh. There was no intent. He didn't look like he was trying to do anything deliberate. He was just sacking the quarterback, which is what he's paid for. Yeah. So they've set up a GoFundMe, the Packers fans, to pay his fine for him. Well played, Packers fans. Also, talking about that roughing the passer thing, though, William Hayes at Miami. Did you hear about him, Dr. Smith?
Yes, that was the guy who, in trying to avoid taking a penalty when sacking the quarterback, fucked his season.
Yep,
and tore his ACL
because he was deliberately not trying to land on the quarterback with. Now, we did have a second discussion about this at work, about you shouldn't be wearing long blade cleats on a flippin' artificial pitch. That's stupidity anyway. But that's kind of besides the issue. The point is that he has hurt himself trying to avoid tackling in the way that he is used to, and the way he's been taught for his whole life. So you're absolutely right. This is definitely this season's catch rule, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, and we're probably going to hear lots about it over the next couple of weeks as well. Interestingly enough, and maybe I'm just overthinking this too much, I fully expected Ndamukong Suh to have his arse handed to him on this rule several times so far this season, and he's not. So, whether he's just not getting the quarterback, that's maybe a different problem, but I was fully expecting him to be getting flagged left, right and centre for smash mouth dirty play. And
there are ways of avoiding it. There is still ways to tackle and not land on the quarterback. But some guys just aren't confident in doing that. We saw there was one play, I can't remember what game it was in, where a guy got to the quarterback and then basically stood there and did nothing because
he wasn't sure what to do.
Full on, then just didn't know how to tackle him. And then the quarterback just skipped round him and gained about 20 yards or something.
See, I have seen in games where, and this happened last season as well. This isn't just this year, but it's quite important because about this rule where a defensive end will have no tackler in the way. Say he's got a clean blitz or it's a cornerback comes off the edge, and they get to the quarterback and they just wrap their arms around them and stand. The refs will blow that in 3 seconds. They will not wait for anything. They know fine. The quarterback's not doing anything. That play is gone. You've got your sack, and they just whistle for it and boom, and that's fine. It's very difficult to teach people how to do that all the time, and arguably it's not the best thing to watch, but some people are going to have to start thinking that way based on how quickly these flags are flying in. Yeah.
Just wrap them up and then they'll start them on forward progress and
you're
sorted.
That's it. Yeah. So, well, there'll be more about that as the weeks go, no doubt. Next result.
Panthers... a 31-21 home win over the Bengals. Not really, no surprises there, really, was there?
Nah, not really. Well, actually, no, sorry, there was one surprise, talking about it, and that is Christian McCaffrey's 28 carries for 184 yards. Surprising on both fronts. I wasn't convinced he was solid RB1 at the Panthers. He still might not be, he may have just got a good week, but at 6.6 yards a carry, that's decent numbers against a Bengals front that's got Geno Atkins and Michael Johnson on that front four. That was probably the only surprising bit in this.
I'm gonna throw another one out actually now that I'm just looking through the stats. Tyler Boyd of the Bengals, 6 receptions for 132 yards and a touchdown. Just a good performance for someone that I didn't know his name before this week, so... Yep,
that we haven't talked about and is very much under the radar. Cam played alright, he seems to be back in his his good frame of mind. I think he's very streaky based on whether he's sulking or not.
Dressing stupidly as ever, and...
Oh, Jesus.
He seems to be enjoying himself and doing it.
That suit at the press conference last week was just awful. With a blinking top hat with a chain, he's got his fancy chain round his neck, he's just pimping, that's what he is. Fully expecting him to swing a cane around half the time with some skull on the end of it, thinking he's the dog's bollocks. Mental case. But Panthers are doing well. 2-1. Bengal lose 1, go down to 2-1. They have Joe Mixon. Was he out last week? Did he get injured in week 2 or was he injured in this game?
I couldn't tell you.
Can't remember, that's fine. Yeah, so they don't have Joe Mixon now for a couple of weeks while he recovers, which kind of takes a little bit of the balance they had away, because as much as I keep drafting him and playing him in fantasy, Gio Bernard is not someone you want to be starting on a regular basis. I got away with it last week. He got about 50 odd yards and a touchdown, but it was only because he got the touchdown that it helped. His general yardage is very run of the mill. So yeah, we'll see. So hopefully they get Mixon back soon and it gives them a bit more balance. I crapped all over the Bengals in the off season. I didn't expect them to do anything decent at all this season. Firmly in the mix for the first overall pick, but they surprised me so far. So long may that continue. I always like a team that surprises me. Tell you what did surprise me was the result in the next game.
But as a game, not much to talk about.
No.
Titans 9, Jaguars 6, 5 goals.
Dear, was this just... How, after last week when the Jaguars crapped all over the Patriots, and you genuinely thought... I called it last week as, are the Jags a class of the AFC? And we said yes at the time before thinking, oh no, maybe Kansas City's right in the mix as well after week 2. But you'd figure the Jags would have the edge because of the defence. They go out and throw an absolute shite offensive performance.
And this result is all on the offense. The defense still held the Titans to 9 points.
100%.
It's all on the offense, this one.
Yeah. Just nothing. Just boring. Yeah. 21 for 34, 155 yards for Blake Bortles. He was very much Blake Bortles that we hate. TJ Yeldon got 46 yards on the ground. Through the air, sorry. That wasn't even on the ground. Clearly, losing Fournette is a massive blow offensively for them. Yeah. And because he is particularly injury prone, this is it'll be interesting to see how this works. Whether he's one of these players where I think there's the Giants do it with Odell Beckham brilliantly. Like the games that he plays, they win like 80% of them. The games he doesn't play, they don't win any of them. That kind of thing. He's just, sometimes you get that talismanic type player that will win the vast majority of games that he's in. And I think he very much is that person for the Jags at the moment, because they seem to be struggling on offense, which is a shame because they easily have a defense worthy of winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So the Titans started this game with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback, but we're quite quick to bring Marcus Mariota back in.
Did you struggle to say Gabbert there because you were thinking of Delish Goddard? And you couldn't say Gabbert, and you thought, wait a minute, am I meant to be speaking in Dutch here? Not to take away from your point. Yeah, they weren't happy with Mariota's rehab during the week, even though he had been passing. So I'd figured that Mariota was starting again. Was surprised to hear that he wasn't, but they knocked him out, and then Mariota came in, which the Jags just had an absolute field day with him. Because he cannot push the ball downfield, so it just made it really easy to defend against, hence why there was only 3 field goals. It's just, I tried to Google it before coming on. I can't remember the last game where there was no touchdowns scored. It's so rare these days in the NFL.
Yeah.
Total snooze fest. Both teams are sitting 2-1.
Both be there or thereabouts the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think Jags will be comfortably in there, and I think Titans will probably...
They're in the mix for the wild cards, yeah.
Yep. Broncos-Ravens. 27-14 home win for the Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens are so hot and cold. They absolutely owned the Bills in week 1, and I thought, right, that's them back to the team that they were sort of 3-4 seasons ago. They were going to be pushing Steelers all the way to the division title, and were going to be right in the mix. They were going to be in the playoffs, and it was like, could they pull off the upset at Foxborough? Like 3-4 seasons ago. That's kind of what I was hoping for them. And then they roll out an absolute turd in week 2. So didn't know what team you were getting. Broncos were 2-0, and by all accounts were playing really well. Roll on week 3, and the result didn't go the way I thought. I thought the Broncos would win this one. Certainly their wide receiver core is very much improved with the additions of John Brown, Michael Crabtree, and Willie Snead. I think that's 3 really good, solid pickups for them, and it's clearly shown in Joe Flacco's play.
Yeah, and Flacco, he was still 25 for 40, 277 yards and a touchdown. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Game. Yeah, he's not as horrendous as we crapped all over him in the off-season. I've said that about 6 times now about how many people or teams that have crapped all over. It's obviously my saying of the week. I'm going to have to stop saying that. God damn it.
There's another one.
What? God damn it. Next result, Giants-Texans. Well, they won.
27-22 Giants. Deshaun Watson, 24 for 40 for 385 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, all garbage yardage.
Better than he put up in the first couple of weeks, though.
Yes, it is a step in the right direction, but I deliberately throw that in there because if you take the fourth quarter out of the equation, he wasn't doing that great at all. Both touchdowns came in the last quarter, and a good chunk of the yardage would as well, because at that point, Giants had a healthy enough lead, and they were doing that whole, okay, we'll give you yards, we'll let you work down the field in the middle and take the clock. Working the clock sort of thing. Bright spot for the Texans, JJ Watt was very much back to his old self. Pardon the pun, seeing as it was his back that was causing him all the problems last season in particular. 3 sacks and a fumble, I think. He definitely got the 3 sacks anyway. First sack he's had since 2016. So we'll see whether that's just a one-game wonder or whether he has actually started to find form again, because I love JJ Watt. He is probably my favourite player, certainly over the last 5 years. albeit injuries have depleted them, and it's going to take some effort for, likes of Khalil Mack sort of doing it this season for me, that kind of player that's going to defensively take over a game.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald's been pretty close the last couple of seasons. But yeah, JJ's my man, and at least if he's getting back on point, that's something good for them. Yes. But the poor Texans are in a hole. They're going to be kind of, I think, flopping around the bottom of the power rankings every week, and they're going to be pretty close to the top of the draft next year, I think, rate they're going at. So
yeah, they'll be in good company.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley got 82 yards and a touchdown off 17 carries. Pretty decent numbers again. They've definitely found someone to play, which is good for the Giants. It helps balance their offense a lot better, because they've struggled on running back for a long while. At least six seasons, I'd say, since they've had a really decent running back.
Eli's problems over the last year or so. In that last year they were awful, but he just didn't have anyone to take pressure off him. And then he lost his best option through the passing game as well. With OBJ back, 9 receptions for 109 yards, solid numbers. Saquon there.
They've lost Evan Engram. Yeah, they've lost Evan Engram though, at tight end. He's out for about 4 weeks, they reckon. 2 to 4 weeks. So that's going to be a bit of a problem for them, because he was, by all accounts, playing really well, and he helped, open up the middle of the field as well, which helps both Sterling Shepard and OBJ on either side. We'll see how they go. Giants they have a bit of a horrid O-line problem, even after doubling down on offensive line this year by getting, who was the boy from Patriots again? I've totally forgotten his name. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm going to sound like an idiot, but it's fine. The boy from the Patriots that they signed for 60-odd million, and they doubled down by getting Will Hernandez in the draft. So one side of the offensive line is all right. The other side is getting... they've dropped Eric Flowers. They've brought in some rookie to take over for him last week. So we'll see how that goes. If you've got a really hard-charging, sack-happy team, and they target the other side of that line, the Giants are going to struggle as well. It's really all about that for the rest of the season with them. Middling team, I don't think they're going to be in the hunt, but they're going to pick up a good few wins as the season goes, and play fairly solidly. Is kind of my quick take on them, I think. Anything else on this game?
No.
No, cool. Right, on to the next one then. So, bone of contention outside. Yes.
So the first game between two LA teams since the 80s, I think.
Yes, with all the team moves. Which would have
been the Rams against the Raiders. Is that right?
Yes, must have been.
Yeah.
Trying to rack my brain as to what other teams have been through LA recently. I'm sure that's just it must have been them. Yeah, we'll go with that.
So an LA derby.
Which I called the Rams 100% last week. I was like, oh yeah, as much as the Chargers are doing alright, and this is hence the really angry text from Kev, which I got a bit worried about when he first dropped it in. Steve, you motherfucker! I was thinking, oh shit, what did I say? But he was partly jesting. I tried not to.
Is this the only sure thing that you got right last week?
I think so. Yes. Less said about that, the better. Don't trust anything I say, folks. So 35-23. I wouldn't say 100% super comfortable for them. I don't think it was like 100% in the bag. The Chargers are a little bit depleted, as they have been for about the last 4 years. I think we were talking about this in work the other day about teams that have got really have had really bad runs with injuries, and not so much this season for the Chargers, but the last 2 or 3 years they have just been like half their teams hit IR by about week 6. So they've had a lot of bad luck. I still tip them to win the division. I can probably quite easily flip that after week 3 and go, okay, they're probably not going to win it because the Chiefs are easily the class of that division.
Yeah.
But I still think they're going to be pushing for getting in the wild cards.
Yep, I totally agree. I mean, it was fairly comfortable for the Rams. I mean, they were 35-20 up going into the last quarter, and all they conceded in the last quarter was a field goal. So there was never any doubt of where the result was going. But yeah, the Rams ram on.
Ram on. Short week though for them. They're at home. Were they at home, the Vikings?
Yes, they are at home.
Yeah, they're
the
the home
Vikings
team,
on
aren't they? Yeah.
Thursday night.
So yeah, no Talib. Cooper is day to day with his ankle injury, so they might be losing him as well. And if the Vikings rebound and have a good rebound, that's going to be a hell of a battle. So quite looking forward to that one.
It should be a good one to watch. I think I'll actually get to watch that one. I'll have that one recorded. So yeah.
Awesome.
I don't want to talk about the next one.
Do we not? Okay, well, seeing as you actually bothered to turn up, will be nice. And
we have to. So
yes.
After quarter one, I was very excited.
Yes.
About the Cardinals being 14-0 up on the Bears.
Yep.
And
D. Johnson got a touchdown, didn't he?
Yes, Johnson got a touchdown,
got him back
and
on the mix.
The other one was to Ricky Seals-Jones, tight end.
Ah, cool. Yep. Who I dropped from fantasy, so well done me.
Well done. Yeah, I told you before pre-season he would be decent.
You did?
He's a good end zone threat. He's
100%.
He's a big-bodied receiver. He's good in about the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
It went to shit after that.
It kind of did.
The Bears came back and 16 points unanswered over the last 3 quarters. Yeah.
However, it isn't all plain sailing for the Bears. They are getting away with wins. They're sitting 2-1. It is easily their defense that is bailing them out here, and it is particularly that man I mentioned just 5 minutes ago, Khalil Mack. Another 2 sacks and a fumble. He is taking over games. We talked about this at work. I think it seems to be that he's got a right fire in his belly this season for the whole Oakland didn't want him, and yeah, okay, he's got the richest contract in history, a defensive player, but by Christ is he earning it.
Yep.
So,
he's proving his worth.
Yeah. The one person who's not proving his worth, which is going to be a major problem for them, is Mitch Trubisky. He is kind of... I don't know. He's would you say he's under the Dalton scale? I think he probably is, based on how he's played so far.
He's there or thereabouts, I think.
Yeah, so he's certainly not top tier. He's not in that second tier that you want for a QB. He's kind of struggling a bit. So the rest of the squad is fine. It's just whether he's gonna just get himself in that position, make that leap like what Goff and Wentz did. Can he definitely be that guy? Yeah. Which kind of interestingly brings me full circle to something we talked about at was it the Bills game we were talking about the first round, or was it Mayfield? No, was it maybe Mayfield we were talking about quarterbacks going in? And it's something you talked about, the fact that all 4 of this year's first round. Top 10 picks. Sorry, picks, not all the first rounders. So the 4 top 10 picks, top 10 quarterback picks will all start this week. Yeah.
With Rosen taking the reins from Sam Bradford. So he took the reins quite late in the game this week. He was a victim of some horrific play calling.
Yes. I wanted to speak to you about that actually because I read about it.
So they were on a 3rd and 2 about the midfield.
Yeah.
And David Johnson was on the sideline for some reason having a pep talk. Yeah. 3 timeouts in the bag, decided not to use one.
Yep.
And
then gave it to the run. Yeah, who lost 3 yards.
Yep. So
which then puts Rosen in a 4th and 5, and he has no option but to throw it.
Yeah, but again, they don't take a timeout.
Nope.
They just throw him straight in there. He throws a pick.
Yeah.
Totally not his fault. big issues, big questions over Mike McCoy here as the offensive coordinator, because I think the play calling has been a theme over the first 3 games for the Cardinals.
Very much so.
It's not looked good at all. And as I said earlier, reading the power rankings made me cry. Cardinals are ranked 32.
And considering how stinking the Bills were from week 1 and maybe not so much in week 2, but how they were well entrenched as the bottom team. Yeah. But obviously because they trashed the Vikings, that's going to give them a boost. But I think your poor Cards are going to really struggle for the rest of the season now.
Yeah,
You may pick up some wins against Seahawks and 49ers though.
Well,
let's be honest.
it's Seahawks at home this weekend.
Right. Well, your season starts now.
Yeah. So my big concern is that if there isn't a win this weekend, then there's a very real chance that we'll be very deep in the season and not have a win under the belt. I think this could be a 2-14 kind of season.
Oof.
Thereabouts.
God, Jesus,
it could
that's
be
not
that
good.
bad.
I bet you were really wishing that the Chiefs had come in and traded for Thomas now and got him away from the Seahawks on Monday, as the rumours were.
I wish that the Chiefs hadn't traded up in the draft the year before last and would have got Mahomes, as was Keem's plan all along. It would be a whole different conversation we'd be having right now.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing, is it not?
Yep, they got caught short there, caught cold.
Jink Bradford is now destined for career backup. Think this is his final hurrah.
Probably.
Yeah. You know, I think another team will go. Because I'm sitting here seriously thinking about it. And it's something that I'll be interested to get Gav's take on it when he's back in the fold. Because he was one of the early dominoes to fall in the quarterback shuffle, wasn't he? He wasn't the last one by any stretch in the imagination.
No, he was after Cousins went, and the Cards were quite quick to tie him up.
Yeah, and I think Keenum just went, but him and Bradford went pretty quick.
Keenum went before Cousins. Remember, the Broncos totally abandoned.
Yes! So they did, sorry, you're right enough. They did, yes, they did.
Yeah, but the only comparison for Bradford is, we've not spoken about the Bucks yet, but you could see him at some point doing what Fitzpatrick is doing at the moment. Totally. As maybe, a backup somewhere, gets an opportunity and just absolutely balls for a little while, because he is a very talented player.
Do you almost think he needs it, to kind of
maybe
a bit of a, not a knock, because you don't want to knock anyone's confidence, because quarterback's very much a confidence-based position, but just a bit of a, right, you need to knuckle down and build yourself back up here sort of thing. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. I think that's a topic that if you had the chance to start for the Cards all of this season, and there was a good chance, because you had the option to pick him up for another year next year as well, didn't you? It was a 2-year deal, but it was an option deal. And then sit Rosen for a wee while to give him a lot of time to develop. Well, that's out of the question. By week 3, he's in, albeit last minute, but week 4 he's starting again. Jesus.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right, 3 games to go. We're nearly there, folks. Thanks for bearing with us so far. Actually, I was really intrigued. We talked about this before coming on air. Without Gav, how would we get on?
Coming on air? Wow. Are we that professional that we're coming on air now? We're live on the airwaves.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else with that wording. I was getting really worried.
Wow.
That probably says way more about me than you, though. Anyway, moving on swiftly. What was I saying? I don't even know what I was saying now.
I think you were about to make reference to the length of this recording.
Yes, I can't even see the timer because everything else is in front of my screen. I don't know if I want to look at it. I've got 3 games. What are we at?
We're at an hour and
Holy
15.
Shit! Right, sorry, folks. Okay. Right. Well. Jeez, God, I can waffle. Right. Seahawks 24, Cowboys 13. Now, I was quite surprised with this one, to be honest.
Were you? It's 2 teams that are utterly pish, and the Seahawks were slightly less pish.
Yes, but Cowboys defense had been playing really well the last couple of weeks, and I picked them up in fantasy as a streaming defense because the Seahawks gave up 6 sacks last week. Their offensive line is cack. They have no Doug Baldwin, and I just thought that should be some easy pickings for fantasy points, and I got absolutely ruined. So, well, just on the defensive thing, I'm still 3-0. I'll take that for now. But yeah, no, that didn't work out well for me at all.
Doug Balding?
Doug Balding? Yes, he has no hair, but I think that's by choice. I think he deliberately just shaves it short with a razor blade.
Pete Carroll says Doug Baldwin is practicing today for the first time since suffering an MCL injury in the opener.
Right, okay, so he's not out super long term.
So he did not guarantee that he'll play Sunday in Arizona, but it looks like he'll be back. He's day-to-day, so he'll be back in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, that's not too bad then. It helps him out a little bit. I'm trying to think of any other good points. The Seahawks are very much a one-man team, let's be honest. It's all about Russell Wilson, about who he does. Yeah. And if teams can kind of rattle him somehow, they're on a good chance of winning. Without Earl Thomas, would they have won? Ooh, interesting. He did get 2 picks. I don't know. I actually know if they took any of them directly into points though off these scores though. So,
but it's 2 picks is a massive contribution for one player.
It
does look more and more likely that he's going to be away.
Yeah. And during the season rather than after. Yeah, I get his feeling that they're going. He might get shipped during. Yeah.
If the
Cowboys
Chiefs are
offensive
sensible,
woes?
it should be them.
Chiefs, Mighty Chiefs, yeah. Cowboys offensive woes. 2 seconds on that.
Dak just isn't very good, is he?
I think we mentioned this already, did we not, on a previous podcast?
Last week, but I think that's where it all stems from, is that Dak isn't very good.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just teams had been able to scheme against him a bit better rather than his regression, because 2 seasons ago he was so good. It looks more and more now that actually it's almost like it's like 2 years ago was a fluke more than anything else. Zeke Elliott, it's probably because they now dare teams to beat them through the air because nobody believes Prescott can. They're stacking the box against Elliott, and Elliott's getting okay, if not spectacular numbers, as the season goes.
16 carries for 127 in this one.
But he's
solid.
Fighting 8 and 9 man boxes half the game. He's got a shitload working against him. So yeah, it's what do you call Jason Garrett?
The wet blanket.
Did you not say there was calls? They were calling for him to go after last week.
Yeah, I think did their fans set up a petition? Asking for him
and
Garrett
Prescott, was it?
And Prescott to get
go
out of their organisation.
That Cowboys fan base, it's not the most rabid in the NFL, but it's pretty close to the top. They don't hang around, and they constantly petition the team to change things when things aren't going well, because they are very much of the belief that they should be in winning records every season. They should be challenging. They should be in the Super Bowl.
America's team, don't you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it ain't going to happen anytime soon the way they're going.
No.
Right, into the last 2. We're into the Sunday night late game then. So we had the Patriots at the Lions, which was also on my list of, that's an easy win one way. And what happened?
Well, the world turned upside down. Yeah.
Hell froze over, and Steve still knows nothing about anything. 26-10
let's just be clear. So, yes, the Lions beat the Patriots. The Detroit Lions had a player rush for over 100 yards.
First time since 2013?
It was something
Reggie
ludicrous.
Bush was the last guy, I'm sure, that did it back in 2013. That is a horrible run. Horrible thing. I mean, every year they were drafting running backs to try and break this curse, or trading for people or whatever, and it's just not happened. So yeah, until Kerryon Johnson 16 carries for his 100 yards as well. I mean, that's not even
made it 101 yards. He just made it.
But he did it in only 16 carries, and that actually is quite impressive. So a really solid win for the Lions. So it kind of takes me a little bit back to what I was saying earlier about actually, are we witnessing the beginning of the end for the Patriots? And we won't know fully until time develops, but they're not off to a great start. By all accounts, things aren't as potentially easily redeemable as they were in previous seasons. They only dressed 3 wide receivers, of which one of them was Cordarrelle Patterson. I mean, I was like, see, when I read that one, I was like, you're kind of setting yourself up for a problem here if you can't even field a decently balanced team. Matt Patricia knows them all. Let's be honest, that's the other thing as well that works in his favour. But if he got onto the field and was looking and going, hold on, they're only sending 3 wideys out, and one of them's Cordarrelle Patterson. Oh, come on here. Change your game plan in 5 minutes. Game over. Doesn't matter. It didn't matter because that game was lost as soon as the Patriots walked out on the field and did their second drive. The Lions had that one in the bag. So, yeah.
You've seen a couple of teams have said that they know what the Lions are going to do before they do it.
Yes. Jets said it after week 1 when they got 5 picks or something. Yeah. So the Jets came out and said, yeah, they know. What, has the Patriots come out and said that as well?
I don't think they came out and said it, but during the game, they were listening to the play call, and there were shouts from the Patriots defense of "It's a toss, it's a toss," and sure enough, the next play was a toss. So I mean, it's just interesting. You don't really hear that defenses know what they're going to do.
Especially considering this would be the Patriots' legitimate way of knowing it and not them just filming it like they have done in the past.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to label a franchise cheats based on hard evidence, would you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it was only £500,000 fine for doing it, and then Deflategate happened. Anyway, we're gonna stop. Right, I'm gonna stop. Right, into our last game of the week. Now, this one, I said at the end of last week's podcast, I was probably looking forward to this game maybe the most. Particularly just how both teams had played through the first 2 weeks. And it was a very interesting result, actually, in the end. Andrew, fire away.
Yeah, so the Steelers went to the Bucks, won by 3 points, 30-27. So a reasonably high-scoring game. Yep. Ryan Fitzpatrick, another 400-yard performance, which is 3 in a row, which is a record, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. NFL record. No quarterback has thrown 3 consecutive 400-yard games. So that is something on its own.
I mean, have they confirmed him a starter yet for this week? Because Winston's back.
No one's come out and said it. Cotter has come out and said he knows who's starting. And there was a report today, I seen the headline but not the article, so it is based on speculation on a headline, but the headline was heavily suggesting Winston is back in the office, firmly looks like backup, or something like that. I think the Bucks would be daft to put Winston back in now, just based on how they're playing.
You can't bench a guy who's thrown 400 yards 3 games in a row.
Hell no. Yeah, he threw 3 picks in the first half, and yes, had he'd only done 2 of those, they would have won and be sitting 3-0. But you can't blame that just on him. Sorry, correction. Let me correct that, because actually, by all accounts, all 3 were fucking horrible interceptions. What I was meaning more is the fact that he's done way more good than bad. The bad has only been, a quarter or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One bad quarter in 12. Yeah, you let him away with
You'll
that.
take it. Yeah, you're going to be on a decent season if you keep going at that sort of rate. So, yeah. Cheeky win for the Steelers, puts them kind of back on the right path.
Yeah,
Fingers
1-1.
Yeah, so many teams. Packers are 1-1, Vikes are 1-1, Cleveland's 1-1. It's the weirdest set of score when you see the who's coming up this week. against who in the records. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen because, yeah, okay, you occasionally get a tie, but you may only get one in a season, and it's usually like later on in the season, so the wins and things. Because we've had 2 in the first 2 weeks, all these 1-1-1 teams are there, and it just doesn't look right. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's just outlaw that. Actually, going back to this game, did you see Vance McDonald's stiff arm?
Yes, I did. I think that, to be honest, I think that's the only thing I saw of this game.
Well, you know what? Yeah, same here. It was pretty much the only highlight I seen of it, but by Christ, was that a highlight? Oh no, I seen another highlight. Did you see where Fitzpatrick trolled the world and did that kind of finger move? Did I put that in the WhatsApp chat?
Yeah,
the one that Jack Black did on his Hall of Fame thing, where he's doing like the little, okay, down on your leg thing.
Yeah. Someone sees it, you get to punch them in the arm.
Yeah, and he did it to everyone on Monday Night Game. Something else that I
seen. All a punch.
Something else that I seen just quickly before we start wrapping up. The Saints game that they had in week 1, which was the 48-40, that is the 13th highest scoring game ever in the NFL. Wow. In the regular season. So yeah, actually they've kind of been on fire this season so far. Yeah, so technical difficulties there, folks. Hopefully it doesn't seem so blatantly obvious in post-production editing malarkey that I'm going to have to do. One thing that I most definitely have enjoyed not having to do the last sort of 3-4 weeks we've been recording in our secret bunker, but I will have to do for this episode. Never mind. So I was saying about how that Bucks game was the highest scoring, 13th highest scoring game in NFL history, the 48-40 win in week 1 against the Saints, and the fact that just as an offensive juggernaut, as you pointed to earlier by saying Fitzpatrick has the sort of the record of 3 consecutive games of 400 yards, which no quarterback's ever done before. Long may it continue. Yes, Winston should be the backup. They should just come out and say, they should have said it after week 2. I think I said last week, I said they should just come out now and say, look, regardless of what happens next week, Fitz is going to continue with the team, and then if we need to make the change, we'll know that then, because that puts Winston in the right frame of mind, it puts Fitzpatrick in the right frame, everything should be right, and they haven't done it yet, so really interested to see how it goes, and whether, if Fitz comes out and starts really badly, do they, if he has the same first half as he did against the Steelers this week, are they going to pull them at halftime next week?
Nah, they shouldn't. Who have they got?
I know they shouldn't, absolutely shouldn't, but I think because they didn't have that option before, because Winston couldn't play, now that he can, I think they're going to be quick to pull the trigger if they have to.
Oh, they've got the Bears this week, so that's a big test for him. That's a big test.
Oh, Jesus. That'll be good, because as a defense, they're playing solidly everywhere. It's not just the Mac effect up the front. They're top 5 defense. Even at the back end, they're looking pretty decent as well. So it'll be the immovable object against the
unstoppable force. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah. So we'll see which way it goes this time next week. So that's week 2's games in the bags, and we've blethered for
week 2.
Week 2? No, it's week 3. What am I talking about week 2? It's clearly too late, and that's the point I was getting to, is the fact that we blethered for nearly double what we have for the last month. So thanks for sticking with us so far. Really sorry it's gone on a little bit too long. Kev, I hope you're out for a nice long walk, or because I know you've said on a few occasions, Jesus, that was a bit short and sweet this week. Anything from you, Andrew, before we tie things up?
No, thanks for listening, if you still are. I can quite understand if you're...
Tomorrow night at half midnight.
Gotta get it out before the week 4 games.
Going through this. Jesus, yeah, it has to go out tomorrow, no questions asked. But I can't do any editing on Friday, so yeah, I need to get it done tomorrow. Never mind. C'est la vie. Tough life being in the media. Are we in the media?
I think, yeah.
Am I setting this pedestal a bit too high about being on air and all that stuff? Yeah, yeah. Let's just rein it in a bit, House Wrath. Come on. Sell bell. Locker room talk, just bants. Easy, everyone, easy. Right, sign off then.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. Get in touch with me at AndrewDHD on Twitter. Find us at the AFcast. Always open to some input, some nice discussions this week about the rookie quarterbacks and things. So yeah, reach out to us, have a chat, please. Or I'll just be sitting at my phone looking at nothing.
Absolutely, back you up on that. The Twitter interaction this week has been probably the most active in months, so much appreciated for everyone who has got in touch with us. And you'll get me at WisePranker on the Twitter, but first and foremost through at the AFcast. Thanks again for listening to us, and you'll hear from us next week.
Peace out.
You've been listening to another great podcast from the Fair City Podcast Network, a group dedicated to connecting and developing podcasts. Check out fcpod.net for more great podcasts and content.